Hello everyone, Neil Tappin and Joel Tadman here from Golf Monthly, and welcome to West Hill Golf Club and this video, which we are going to be testing the new TSi2 and TSi3 drivers from Titleist.
That's right, we were both custom fitted for these drivers recently, had a chance to give them a really thorough hit, and we're going to be comparing the performance of the two drivers and also how they compare with the prior generation to really get a clear picture about how they perform.
Right, so we are here on the 17th tee at West Hill. The way in which we're going to work it is we'll start with the TSi3. Joel's going to hit a load of shots and we'll talk about the key tech, the performance, the sound, the feel, everything to do with that. And then we'll hit shots with the TSi2 to hopefully give you as much information as you need on how these two Titleist drivers perform and which one might be best for you. Okay, so we're going to start by taking a look at the TSi3 driver. Joel, do you want us to start by hitting a couple of shots for us? Yep. I think the thing that you're going to notice in terms of TSi3 over the previous generation TS3 is the shape difference. So Titleist have worked with their tour players just to make it slightly more compact, make the toe area slightly more rounded. It's actually, I would say, a significant change in terms of the look down behind the ball. It's definitely more compact. Joel, what were your first thoughts in terms of both the look, in terms of how it looked down behind the ball, but also the shelf appeal?
Yeah, I love the way it looks behind the ball. It's got that classic Titleist profile. Definitely noticed the smaller size compared to the TS3, the slightly more rounded toe, and also the new alignment lines. So Titleist have gone away with their triangles. They've got the TSI on the front of the crown there, and I think that really helps frame the ball. So yeah, generally looks at a dress really good. I think the shelf appeal is there on the sole, and also the fact that the new weight system is more visible. So my complaint with the TS3 was that the SureFit cartridge, you couldn't see what setting it was in, so you had to unscrew it, take it out to see. Now you can see where the weight position is, easier for the fitter, easier for the golfer to change if they want to. And because that weight's further back, it's a bit more forgiving as well. So yeah, all in all, they've made some good changes. Another
thing that people are going to notice if they had TS3, for instance, over TSi3 is a difference in the sound through impact. So Joel, can you just hit one with both of the different clubs? So you've got TS3 and TSi3, so we'll start with the new one. Okay, so I'll hit TSi3 first.
Lovely. Straight down the middle.
Soft draw straight down the middle. Don't want that back.
No.
It's a titanium club head, so it has that titanium sound, doesn't it? It's possibly slightly higher pitch than you would get with the carbon fibre drivers.
Only just though. It's a lot closer to, well, what I think we are with this, but the viewers can make their mind up. So this is TS3.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, hopefully you can pick it up through the microphones that we've got. The old version is a higher pitch sound. I much prefer the sound of the new driver.
100%, yeah, it's got that more of a thud sound to it. Still really powerful, but not as kind of overbearing on your ears.
No, yeah. A much more of I'd say, a classic Titleist sound. And actually, I think when you couple that with the fact that it has this really classic look that harks back to drivers like the 905 drivers, I think for those people who've been fans of Titleist drivers in years gone by, I think you're really going to love the TSi3. So there are a few other technologies to talk about. Notably, there should be a reduction in drag with this driver. So they've reshaped the head to make it faster through the air.
Yeah, Titleist say they're going to reduce drag by 15% compared to the previous driver. And actually, in the fitting that I did with this driver, I increased my clubhead speed by 2.5 miles an hour, which is a big jump really from generation to generation. And that obviously translated into more ball speed. So hopefully you should be able to swing this faster.
And then the other key technology is with the face. So Titleist have introduced a new material. It's called ATI425. It should be slightly sort of thinner, faster, stronger, all of those things that are going to aid ball speed and also forgiveness as well.
Yeah, it's a very exotic kind of rare material. They use it on the Mars rover, applications like that. So Titleist have jumped through a lot of hoops, I think, to get this material incorporated onto their drivers. But the benefits are it should be faster from a wider area, and obviously Titleist CT all their drivers before they leave the factory multiple times in multiple locations to make sure that it's as fast as it can be from the very first shot you hit with it.
Yeah, hit another one first there, Joel. Yeah. And I think when I tested it, the thing that I probably was most impressed by with the TSi3 was how consistent the ball flight was. And I think that's because they've made strides in terms of how consistent the spin is. You should notice that when you don't hit it out the middle, you get good ball speed. Yeah, of course you do, but you also get good spin rates. Joel, you've got that on a piece of string this morning. That's pretty good.
That's because, I think partly because, I was fitted into this driver. There's a lot of different settings you can choose from with this driver. My miss, well, my shape is a draw, my miss is to the left usually. And with this weight track system at the back, you've got more settings than you had with the TS3. So, you've got 5 different positions there. I've gone for the T2. So toe 2 is the most extreme weight setting in that fade position. But because my slight miss hit tendency is slightly towards the toe, getting that extra mass behind the toe strike means I get more ball speed from my miss hits as well as my centered hits. So as a result, when we saw those shots there, the ball flight was pretty straighter than what I'm accustomed to. So I'm just getting more distance, but also I'm able to control the dispersion as well.
Yeah, and this is all really good stuff for a fitter to be able to work with you on. The other thing, obviously, that the fitter is going to want to talk to you about and run through with you are the shaft options. Now, there are 3 sort of key families that Titleist have got with this driver that they've selected. That's Kurakaji, Mitsubishi Tensei, and Hazardous RDX. So within that family, you should be able to find something that really works well for you. But if you can't find anything within there, then there are 3 premium shaft offerings to go for by Graphite Design. Tell us a bit more about that, John.
They're an upcharge option. I did try the Graphite Design shaft, and while I got a tiny bit more performance out of it compared to this, it wasn't enough to justify the upcharge, which is fairly significant on that. So, but that'll be different. That's player dependent. Some people will see a big jump in performance, and then that's a decision they've got to weigh up if they're not thinking about upgrading their driver for a while after that. Maybe they really want to invest in this and go for that upcharge option. But I found this Tensei shaft to be plenty good enough.
Yeah, and that sort of leads me on to just asking a final question about it. So if you compare TS3 and TSi3, is it a sort of revolutionary difference between the two? Is it an evolutionary difference between the two? Or is it no change at all? How would you kind of summarise what you're getting versus last time?
There's definitely an improvement, I would say. So, my testing showed, as I mentioned, more club head speed translated into more ball speed. I was able to optimise my spin better with the settings that we've got on this driver, and as a result, I was getting longer carry distances, longer total distances, but also finding more fairways. We've seen from the shots here, I've hit 5 shots straight down the middle, and that's not like me at all. Controlling the dispersion with the driver is my #1 priority. Without losing distance is the ideal scenario, and because of all the different settings, I've got the flatter lie angle setting here on the hosel, so you can do that with Titleist drivers independently from the loft. So it's a very comprehensive package. I'm hopefully going to find more fairways and also be longer as well.
Right, let's see how it compares to the new TSi2.
Right, so Neil, why don't you hit some shots now with your Titleist TSi2 driver and comment on the observation in terms of the difference in the looks of the driver compared to TSi3, because they are quite 2 different looking drivers, I think. Lovely shot.
I think the first thing I'd say is how good it sounds. Hopefully, again, you pick up on the cameras just how powerful these sounds through impact. I think they sound great. The big difference in terms of these 2 drivers, TSi2 and 3, is actually the look.
Yeah.
So TSi3, whilst it's a 460cc head, is actually very compact down behind the ball. It's very traditional looking as you set it down, whereas TSi2 is a little bit longer from front to back. And I think for those players that want a bit more of a confidence-inspiring look, just want something that they feel is going to really get the ball up and away without too much effort, I think the TSi2 is probably a look they're going to prefer. But they both have that more rounded toe section. To me, they both look better.
Yeah.
But they're different to each other.
Yeah, and you'll notice the TSi2 has the grey finish on the sole just for a bit more differentiation. And while it doesn't have adjustability in terms of moving the weight on the back of the sole, it does have a fixed weight on the back which you can alter during a fitting to alter swing weight and things like that. So that's just going to give a bit more forgiveness on those off-centre hits. So you didn't, I think that I would say that was a slightly necky shot, Neil. Was that a fair comment?
Rude, Joel. How rude. I actually hit that all right.
Oh, okay. But it just looked like, even though maybe
that is my bad shot.
But it didn't, even though it wasn't maybe your best swing, it still found the fairway. I think that's the big thing with TSi2.
Yeah, I think for both drivers, but particularly, I think particularly TSi2, because it just feels that bit bigger. the higher MOI is great, but it's the consistency of spin that really struck me during my testing. So I didn't hit the ball very well during my test. I think you hit the ball really well.
Yeah.
I hit the ball okay.
Yeah.
I was hitting it from all areas of the face. And the thing that I noticed during the fitting was how consistent the spin rates were. I wasn't getting any that was suddenly jumping up to sort of 4,000 spin.
Yeah.
And really looping up in the air and not going anywhere. You know, ultimately it was a really consistent ball flight throughout, and I think that was, for me, there were the three things about these two drivers that really impressed me. One, how they look. Two, how they sound. And three, how consistent the spin rates were. I wasn't seeing the big jumps in terms of the ball speed and club head speed that you got, but I was seeing an improvement in terms of how consistent the ball flight was.
So I would agree with all those points, Neil, and also the consistency of the ball speed for me was something I noticed. You know, if you miss hit one out of the heel or the toe, you're not getting those drop-offs in the speed, and that's helping kind of produce more consistent carries. So Neil, we were both fitted by Titleist, but we both went for TSi3. So what were the reasons that TSi3 was the one that you liked the best?
Probably mostly the look.
Right.
I prefer that more compact look. I think you'll fall into one or two categories. Because there's a bit more separation between the two, I think you'll probably automatically lean one way or the other when you first see them. So I prefer the look of that. I was also felt like I was able to shape that a bit more. I'm not, you know, I'm a 5 handicapper, I'm not the best golfer, but I'm definitely better when I know what type of shot I'm trying to hit, whether it's fades or draws. So that ability to shape shots probably lent me towards TSi3. But having said that, this is easy to hit.
Yeah, it produces a like kind of high, stable flight, I would say.
And just for anyone out there that just wants to, the best that they can find in terms of distance and forgiveness, this is a great, I'd say this is a great performing driver on that front.
Yeah, and it's not handicap specific. You know, it's not like high handicappers should go for TSi2, low handicappers should go for TSi3. You know, if you're a low spin player, you might benefit from the performance of TSi2 and hit shots like that, straight down the middle. So, you know, there is performance to be had from both drivers. I think, you know, obviously a custom fitting is really crucial to make sure you get the right driver head for you, because they can be configured very differently. But I think you'll be impressed. You know, if your driver's 2-3 years old, 2 generations old, if you get fitted for these drivers, I guarantee you almost that you would experience gains in club head speed, ball speed and distance, while also tightening your dispersion. I think that's the one thing that really stood out with both of these drivers.
And having something that looks good in the bag as well as down behind the ball.
And feels really good as well.
Yeah, so I mean, Titleist have not changed things dramatically in terms of the looks, but they've just improved them. They've made them really aspirational. I mean, most golfers are going to want to, you know, be able to put these into play. Joel, how much are these going to cost people?
Well, they're premium price, Neil. These RRP of £519, so one of the most expensive kind of mainstream driver brands on the market now. You probably better get it for around 500 when it goes on sale in early November. You can get fitted for it from October 22nd. So yeah, you know, premium price, but as I mentioned, if your driver's a few years old, I think you will experience gains to be had. And we've seen non-contracted tour players like Tommy Fleetwood, Matt Fitzpatrick switching into this driver. So clearly there's something in it for everyone.
So there you have it. That is the TSi2 and the TSi3 drivers from Titleist. Guys, before you go, please do hit the pause button and let us know, what do you think about these two new introductions to the range from Titleist? We'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Have you used the TS2 and TS3 drivers? How have they performed for you? Again, we'd really be interested to hear what you have to say as well. Joel, final thoughts from you? What was it that most impressed you from the performance?
It was everything really. It was the gains in club head speed, it was the feel and sound, it was the control of dispersion, the greater control I had with the more movable weight there. Definitely going to put it in the bag, try it on the course and hopefully find a few more fairways.
Yeah, keep your eyes out for the two new drivers from Titleist. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.